offline.
Welcome back, lurkers and griffin tamers, to another episode of fun alternatives to the most played commanders, baby. If you haven't checked out episode 1, we went over the top 10 commanders over on EDH Rec and offered up some fun casual alternatives to them. These alternatives had to follow 2 rules, however. 1, they had to be the same color as the top commander, and 2, they had to be able to run the same strategy, adding a little spice to it. So if you haven't checked out that video, give the first part of this one a watch. And yeah, make sure to subscribe if you're not. If you haven't hit that bell down below, hit the bell. It helps you stay notified for when I'm doing stuff here on YouTube. And if you want to show some additional support, check out the description down below. Other than that, let's get into it. So starting Volume 2 off with the 11th most popular commander on EDH Rec, Giada, Font of Hope. Now, Giada's a 1 and a white 2/2 flying vigilance. Each other angel you control enters with an additional 1/1 counter on it for each angel you already control, and you can tap her to add 1 white, spend this mana only to cast angel spells. Now, this Heaven Sent Heir has hella hymns, but holy is it overplayed. Now, it's obviously doing the angel thing. We got the powerhouse angels like Lyra Dawnbringer supplying angel buffs, while itself being a super stat-checked angel body. Starheim Aspirant reducing the angel's cost. It's doing the angel thing. There's a reason it's the most played mono-white commander. Now, Giada's great. It's not you, it's me. But let's start off with a banger. Movinda Student's Advocate is my suggestion for your angel deck. So let's take this angel strategy and add a little spice to it, shall we? So I thought, do angels have good ETBs? Let me answer that with a few examples. We've got Righteous Valkyrie, which is a 2/4 angel that provides a life gain equal to angel's toughness when they ETB. It also provides a +2/+2 anthem for our creatures if we're at 7 or more life than our starting life, which, easy. Karmic Guide, being able to reanimate a creature from our graveyard on ETB, is extremely good, and of course Restoration Angel to provide a blink effect when it enters, which leads me to my next point perfectly. Blink spells. We can pair Movinda's ability to let us cast instant or sorceries from our graveyard that target a creature once a turn, and run blink cards like Cloud Shift, Flicker of Fate, Scroll Shift, to blink our powerful angels to reuse these powerful ETBs over and over again with Movinda. Throw in a teleportation circle and a conjurer's closet to keep blinking every turn, and you're set. Also, Big Owl teaching angels to be angels. Kind of funny, honestly. He's like, listen, y'all ain't doing it right. When they're all like, holy, do you see the plumage on this guy? Oh. Moving on to EDH Rec's next most popular commander, Y'shtola, Knights Blessed. This 1, a white, a blue, and a black 2/4 has Vigilance. At the beginning of your end step, if a player lost 4 or more life this turn, you draw a card. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, Y'shtola deals 2 damage to each opponent, and you gain 2 life. I get it. I made like a fun alternative deck to her one time because she's just a very fun commander. Honestly, she's really cool. I might go to Etsy and just see if anybody's made any like altered art cards for her. Oh my god! You want Esper, you want to be controlling, you want a little built-in card engine, a little built-in way to bring home games on that commander, but maybe you just don't want to sit next to this popular girl in class. I get it. Oh yeah, it's all coming to me now. He needs a big boy commander that does big boy control things, draws him cards, has a built-in way to bring home games, but isn't so overplayed. You need Elenda and Azor. Elenda and Azor, 3 a white, a blue, and a black for a 6/6 flying ward 2. Whenever Elenda and Azor attacks, you may pay X, a white, a blue, and a black. If you do, draw X cards. At the beginning of each end step, you may pay 4 life. If you do, create a number of 1/1 black Vampire Knight creature tokens with lifelink equal to the number of cards you've drawn this turn. Hey buddy, would you like a big commander with built-in protection? Yeah. It itself is a 6/6, so you can bring home games with it. Yeah. Draw as many cards as you're willing to dump mana into and keep other mana open for control pieces. Yeah. Also, you pay 4 life and you get 1/1s equal to the amount of cards you've drawn. Not just off this thing. So if you're in the control deck, drawing 5-6 cards, not too difficult with some engines in play, especially when you got Azor. Whereas Y'shtola comes out before the control strategy goes off. You're playing Y'shtola, then you're doing control around Y'shtola. Whereas Elenda and Azor is more of a kind of follow-up to our control. We clear a path to drop our bomb commander to start flooding the board with creatures, drawing tons of cards, getting more control in our hand. If I didn't already have an Esper deck, I would probably consider building it, and I'm probably going to end up building it anyway. This next year, that's my New Year's resolution. I know it sounds like a joke, and that sounds like the worst New Year's resolution ever. I'm going to build more decks, like IRL. I just want to. I don't have a lot. I have like 2 decks that I like playing. There's a ton of stuff I've been building recently for videos that I'm like, I actually want to build that. Moving on to the 13th most popular commander on EDH Rec, we've got Joda the Unifier, being a white, a blue, a black, a red, and a green for a 5/5. Legendary creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control, and whenever you cast a legendary spell from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a legendary non-land permanent with lesser mana value, and you may cast it without paying its mana cost. It's got like Legendary Cascade and then a big Legendary Anthem. It's real good. You're going to be running the Legend Tribal stuff like Sisay to grab more and more legends from our deck, or Joyra to draw cards from casting legends, but honestly, I got a much better replacement. How about Omnath Locus of All for you guys? Being a white, a blue, a Phyrexian black, a red, or a green for a 4/4. If you would lose unspent mana, that mana becomes black instead. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card if it has 3 or more colored mana symbols in its mana cost. If you do, add 3 mana in any combination of its colors and put it into your hand. If you don't reveal it, put it into your hand. Yeah, this dude just provides a way to build up tons of black mana with its first ability, while also letting us get more and more cards in our hand with Omnath's second ability. And that's kind of where it gets interesting, because it's only our top card. And if that card is 3 or more colors, we get to put it into our hand. So cards like Brainstorm to set the top of our deck with 3+ color legends like Shanid, Sleeper's Scourge, or Kethis the Hidden Hand, which not only care about legends, but are 3 or more colors and cost 3. So we can utilize our Omnath's ability to put the legend into our hand, plus help us mana ramp it out with the 3 mana Omnath provides. This seems way more entertaining in my eyes. Plus, all your unspent mana turns into black mana, so weirdly enough, you could have like a weird package of cards like Arc Enemy Charm, Temporal Extortion to use your unspent black mana that normally would never be able to be played in a 5-color deck, which to me is really fun and interesting. So let's talk about the Wise Mothman. I honestly didn't know this commander was this popular. I even made a video like building Wendigo in a Wise Mothman deck like a while back. Didn't even realize it was the, 14th most ran commander. The Wise Mothman is 1, a black, a green, and a blue for a 3/3. Flying, whenever the Wise Mothman enters the battlefield or attacks, each player gets a rad counter, and whenever 1 or more non-land cards are milled, put a 1/1 counter on each of up to X target creatures, where X is the number of non-land cards milled this way. Super good. Provides us with a super unique Sultai mill deck that doesn't solely focus on milling ourselves, but everybody, so definitely a nice change of pace for the colors. My suggestion for a Sultai commander mill alternative is a pair of partner commanders, being Kaidel, Chosen of Krufix, and Ikra Shadiki, the Usurper. Kaidel, Chosen of Krufix, is 2, a green and a blue for a 2/3. You can tap her, add 1 waste to your mana pool for each card you've drawn this turn. And our partner in this deck is Ikra Shadiki, the Usurper, being 3, a black and a green for a 3/7. Menace, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. I get it, this one seems super weird, but once I started like really looking into if it could work, I think this is actually a super promising build. I don't know why all these partner Sultai commanders are really speaking to me in the last few videos, but I like them. Kaidel's ability to add mana equal to the amount of cards we're drawing in a turn, paired with some draw engines like Kami of the Crescent Moon, or cards like Brainstorm, can produce a good amount of mana on our turn that we could then use to play card draw spells like Mind Spring to draw even more cards, untap Kaidel with creatures like Kelpie Guide to add even more mana, to play mill cards like Maddening Cacophony. Now, Ikra is where this deck becomes super interesting though, as we can run big butt creatures like Chancellor of the Spires or Imperious Mindbreaker, both of which love to mill while having large toughness, and of course we're going to run those. But the cherry on top here is Phoenix, God of Deception, turning all of our large toughness creatures into more mill by tapping to mill for their toughness. You're bashing with big butts, you're milling a ton of people, you have a little secret commander Phoenix in here, which I think is cool. Sue me, I think it's a cool build. Who doesn't like 3 commanders? Throw a freaking a companion in here if you want. Go crazy. Moving on to Miram. We gotta talk about him. I just don't like dragons, man. Miram Sentinel Worm, 3, a green, a red, and a blue for a 6/6 flying ward 2. Whenever another non-token dragon enters the battlefield under your control, create a token that's a copy of it, except the token isn't legendary if that dragon is legendary. One of those commanders. Don't have to explain why this is good. And it will be fun for the first like 2 or 3 games until you're like, my friends don't like versing me with this. So why don't you just play Riku of 2 Reflections instead? It's way more fun. It's way more earned. Riku of 2 Reflections is 2, a green, a red, and a blue for a 2/2. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may pay a red and a blue. If you do, copy that spell. You may choose new targets. And whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay a green and a blue. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature. Yeah, not only can you copy dragons just like Miram does, but those dragons approaches, yeah, you can start copying those now and get real spicy with it. Sarkhan's Triumph, yeah, copy that now and tutor out 2 dragons. Just dragon copy plus spell copy plus earned a little bit more plus way more fun to build around in my opinion. So there you go. Every man has 2 Rikus inside of him. Wait. You know me. If you're new to the video, maybe you don't know me as well. There's always one of these builds. There's always one of the cards. There's always one of the deck ideas. There's always one of the commanders that stands out in my list that is my personal favorite. I think this next deck idea absolutely slaps. I've seen nothing online of anyone doing this, so buckle up. The next most popular commander on EDH Rec is Nekasar the Mindraiser, being 2, a blue, a black, and a red for a 2/4. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. Whenever an opponent draws a card, Nekasar deals 1 damage to that player. Ah, the wheel deck. You're running Psychosis Crawler type creatures to deal damage when people draw. You're running extra draw type cards like Howling Mine, so everyone's drawing more cards, so they're taking more damage. It's a good deck. Group slug, but way more efficient. And I've got a weird suggestion. I need you to listen to the full idea before judging. Thank you. How about you try Mishra Eminent One instead? Mishra has 2, a blue, a black, and a red for a 5/4. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of target non-creature artifact you control, except its name is Mishra's War Form. It's a 4/4 construct artifact creature in addition to its other types. It gains haste, and you sacrifice it at the end of turn. And I hear you. This is an artifact commander, Nick. What are you talking about? I want a Grixis wheel deck. Well, let me tell you what I'm talking about, all right? Because when you're running cards like Horn of Greed, Howling Mine, Teferi's Puzzle Box, to name a few, making 4/4 copies of those on your side, while not useful because you have to sack them at the end of turn in those specific card cases, is also just another way to have big bodies bashing opponents, which adds a nice little spice to the wheel deck. But here's where it really comes in clutch. Because when we're talking about artifacts like Temple Bell, Sensei's Divining Top, Jet Medallion, those can actively be used on your turn as a second copy of that card once you get a copy of them that's a 4/4 from Mishra, which I think becomes very, very scary because I can just rattle off some real good ones. Wishclaw Talisman, you want a second copy of that so you can tutor for 2 things this turn? How about a Mind Crank? Every time someone takes damage, they mill that much twice. Oh, wouldn't you look at that? I have a 4/4 copy of Mind Crank too. Huh. Honestly, something as weird as like Aether Siphon could be good. 1 and 2 blue artifact. Start your engines, pay 2, tap it, draw a card, and then once you're at max speed, whenever you draw a card, each opponent mills 2 cards. Yeah, people are just wheeling through their decks anyway. You could just throw this in there, get a token copy of it each turn with Mishra, and then just like double up on this effect on turns that you want to be drawing a bunch of cards. I think it's a sweet deck, actually. Very cool take on a wheel build. Any other suggestions that you guys come across for any of these builds, but specifically this one because I really like this one, let me know in the comments. Moving on. Okay, next we're going to talk about Ishin, 2 Heavens is 1. I've done a unique build about this guy, and that was pretty difficult, but we figured it out. It's like a pillow fort, weird build. This dude's very straightforward, okay? So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is my weakest suggestion of the list. Ishin is a red, a white, and a black for a 3/4. If a creature attacking causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Yeah, Grave Titan twice, King. Do what you got to do. Krenko twice, King. Like I said, this guy's a little milquetoast in my eyes. He's just like, do you like attacking? Yeah. That's it. So instead of like a dead on the money suggestion for like an alternative here, because this one's so straightforward, pick any Mardu aggro commander, honestly. They're all kind of doing similar stuff. I thought I'd recommend just a cool commander that I think needs to see more play. Vihan Goldwaker, baby. A red, a white, and a black for a 3/3. Other outlaws you control have vigilance and haste. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may have treasures you control become 3/3 colorless assassin artifact creatures in addition to their other types until end of turn. This is way cooler. Run Professional Facebreaker to start making tokens. Now you got that Facebreaker plus all the treasure tokens that are 3/3 assassin treasures with vigilance and haste, and cards like Brass's Bounty become an insane power spike on our side of the board because they will all become 3/3s. You could also just throw a bunch of attack trigger treasure creators like Captain Lannery and then just put Ishin in the deck anyway if you're really hell-bent on the whole Ishin thing. Again, weakest suggestion in the list, I'm not gonna lie. Let's move on. As a community service, I felt it needed to suggest a more fun, casual alternative to Miss Bumbleflower because she's a monster and she must go. Miss Bumbleflower is 1, a green, a white, and a blue. For a 1/5 Vigilance, whenever you cast a spell, target opponent draws a card, put a 1/1 counter on target creature, it gains flying until end of turn. If this is the second time this ability is resolved this turn, you draw 2 cards. Oh, so you're saying just a shit ton of upside for me to a ridiculous degree, and then one card draw for somebody in exchange? Yeah, the only real trade-off with this card is the fact that if you're a grown man running it, you have to say Miss Bumbleflower every time you play your commander. So I guess that's fair. I get it. You're looking for a group huggy, oh, I'm so cute and helping the table strategy, oh, did I win the game type commander, and I've got it for you. I recommend Cross Defense Contractor, because my god, this dude's nuts. For 1, a green, a white, and a blue, we get a 2/4. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a shield counter on target creature an opponent controls. Whenever you put 1 or more counters on a creature you don't control, tap that creature, goad it, it gains trample until your next turn. Start throwing counters on all your opponent's stuff. With stuff like Rishkar, Sheltering Ancients, or Generous Patron to goad specific threats on the opponent's boards. Or just goad everything with cards like Skyboon Evangelist, Requisition Raid, or Collective Effort to not only buff a full opponent's board, but also goad it as well, and give it trample with Cross. Then use some Propaganda, Nils, Ghostly Prison type effects to add to the whole deck's don't swing at me aspect. Of course, some proliferation cards like Metastatic Evangel or Flux Channeler to keep putting counters on previously goaded creatures to keep them goaded. And I love this. This one, I think I'm actually going to build. This one, this specific deck, and then from the last series of these videos, Silas and Kodama of the East Tree. I'm going to build both of these. I think these decks both seem incredibly fun. Also just a good deck to like introduce politics to the table without being super overbearing. Because you're like protecting their stuff, you're giving them buffs, you're helping them out, but you're also like, hey man, remember when I did that? Not cool for doing this. I said it in the last video, if you're not a very social player, you don't introduce politics a lot, I think it's pretty useful to have one of these decks in your list. This one's going to be mine. Moving on to Ulalek Fused Monstrosity. I'm going to be honest, this one was really tough as well. A 5 waste or 5 Wooburg or whatever combination of the two, 2/5 with Devoid that has whenever you cast an Eldrazi spell, you may pay 2 waste. If you do, copy all spells you control and copy all other activated and triggered abilities you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Pretty niche. If you're looking for a big Eldrazi 5-color deck, it's pretty much this or the other one that came in the pre-con, Aslask, but again, that's not much of an answer for the case of this video, and the only other one that I found was Joda Archmage Eternal, which turns all of your spells you cast into Wooburg to cast them. So instead of paying 12 mana for that Eldrazi, 9 mana for that Eldrazi, double digits for that Eldrazi, you'll spend 5 mana now to cast it instead. Yeah, if you're looking for a 5-color Eldrazi deck and you're not wanting to run either of those 2 Eldrazi's, that's the best suggestion I've got here. All the other ones, you could make points for why they would be good, for why they might work, for why they might do this. At the end of the day, you're still running a deck packed full of double-digit mana cost, so Joda, there's your answer. All right, boys, I'm finishing things off with the 20th most popular commander on EDH Rec, which is Balin the Haymaker. Balin is a red, a green, and a white for a 4/3. Tap 2 untapped tokens you control to add 1 mana of any color, tap 3 untapped tokens you control to draw a card, or tap 4 untapped tokens to put 3 1/1 counters on Balin the Haymaker and give it trample until end of turn. So, you want to make a bunch of tokens? You want to translate those tokens into power and value, and you want to be maybe not as straightforward as this one? A commander that I've been wanting to build for a second and I can't stop thinking about, which also makes a fantastic alternative to Balin, is Shalai and Halar, being 1, a red, a green, and a white for a 3/3 flying vigilance. Whenever 1 or more 1/1 counters are put on a creature you control, Shalai and Halar deals that much damage to target opponent. Now sure, you could put a ton of 1/1 counters on something like Genesis Hydra and start dealing a ton of damage with this thing, which you should definitely still do in this deck. But you could also just make a ton of tokens with something like Avenger of Zendikar, then every time a land enters, give all those plants 1/1 counters with Avenger of Zendikar, and that's a ton of pings with Shalai. Or run token cards like Grand Crescendo and pair it with something like Feldar's Retreat to start putting board-wide 1/1 counters on our board, which will cause Shalai and Halar to do some serious damage. It also does this damage to everybody, so if you're able to give Shalai and Halar lifelink with something like Basilisk Collar, you'll be gaining a ton of life as well as dealing tons of significant damage. And I think you've got like a seriously good Naya token list that can go wide, never takes its foot off the pedal. Opponents are going to be taking damage from combat, from direct damage from your opponent, nonstop. You can even throw in an Impact Tremors to make it a 3-way onslaught, and no one's making it out of that. And while with Balin, you can run food tokens, you can run treasure tokens, you can run tokens like that to utilize Balin, which does make her very, very unique and fun. I still think Shalai and Halar is a fantastic alternative. So yeah, hope you liked the video, all right? Because you liked the first one. I don't see why you wouldn't like the second one. Let me know some of your alternatives that you thought of while you were watching the video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. If you want to show some additional support, you can become a Patreon member or a YouTube member. Starts low as $1. Helps out the channel a ton. And if you plan on ordering any of the cards we talked about today, I do have a TCG Player affiliate link. No charge to you, just helps me out. Uploads on Friday at noon. Uploads on Sunday at noon. Deck review live streams at 8 p.m. on Fridays. Random live streams here and there. So hit that bell notification to stay up to date. And with that, I'm going to get out of your hair. See you guys.